and welcome to the ninth and the last meeting of the series of conversations entitled What Will Gropius Do a Century Later? Organized by Conexiones improbables with the support of the Department of Culture and Language Policy of the Basque Government in the framework of the European Union initiative, the new European Bauhaus. My name is Begoña López de Averasturi, and I am one of the members of Conexiones improbables team that has been working on this beautiful initiative where we have brought together experts and professionals like yourselves to discuss the role of the creativity and the contribution of transdisciplinarity, hybridisation and cross-fertilisation between sectors and knowledge in the development of the future of Europe. We have done it from 7 different themes or fields. We wanted to go beyond the concepts apparently pre-established by the new European Bauhaus, precisely to contemplate from them what the new European Bauhaus means in our lives, in our professional field, in our closest environment, and in our daily life. Today, we will share the reflections that we have drawn from the previous conversations, and we will have time to discuss them. Boris Majorin, internationalization expert and contributor or collaborator from Conexiones improbables, is with us, and I am very happy to say that he will be moderating today's sessions. But before I give way to him, I would like to give a couple of technical indications. So please, everybody, keep your microphones off, except when you are going to speak. You can ask for a time to speak by raising your hand, and you can also leave comments in the chat. The chat can be used by those who are watching via streaming also, and I will collect the messages and pass them to Boris and the rest of the participants. We will appreciate if the people who are participating, not the audience, will be with the camera connected so that we can see all of you, but of course, as you are most comfortable. So without further ado, thanks again to all of you, and welcome, Boris.
Casco Begoña, it is indeed a pleasure to be here today because it is the last step, at least in this Zoom format, for this sequence of events that has been put together by Conexiones improbables, and I'm very much happy and satisfied with all the work that I've been witnessing and to which I've been contributing. But of course, thank you very much to the team of Conexiones improbables, to all the team, because it has been a very interesting and rewarding experience, especially from the intellectual point of view and for all the content that we have been able to collect. Roberto is going later to summarize some of the main stats about the event, but what is the most important for me right now is to introduce you very quickly the main characters of this story. And I'm going to start from Christian Luer from Spatial Foresight in Luxembourg. Hi, Christian, nice to see you. And then we are going to hear also the voice later on from Gdynia, from Poland, the voice of Paulina Kisiel from PPNT. Hi, Paulina, dzień dobry. And from Borås in Sweden is going to intervene for Navet. It is going to be Anna Gunnarsson. Hi, hey, Anna.
Hi there.
And then we are going to have a duo. We are going to have the Free University of Bozen, of Bolzano, with Emanuele Boselli.
Hello.
And
Hello.
then our Italian duo, it is Carlo Ferretti from Matera Hub and Federico Bomba from Cineglossa.
Hi, everyone.
Ciao, buon pomeriggio. And I don't know if he's already connected, but we are going to hear it also from Sander van der Wal from VAR, Society and Technology from the Netherlands.
I'm here, Boris. Hi.
Hi, Sander. Nice to see you again. And last but not least, Košice, creative industry Košice, with the ideas and the thoughts that have been collected by Michal Hladky. Hi, Michal.
Hello, everyone.
So it became apparent during our conversation that all that was going on 1 century ago about the new European Bauhaus wouldn't have been possible without the support of Fritz Hesse. And that was recalled by Thomas Wobben. It was in our conversation that we had with special foresight about territorial cohesion. And what was it about? Fritz Hesse was the mayor of Dessau, and he was in charge of supporting the Bauhaus. But today we have our own supporter, which is Bingen Zupiria, and he is the Ministry for Culture of the Basque Government. So I welcome you, Bingen, and I leave the floor to you for a welcome word.
Hello. Thanks, Boris. Arratsaldeon eta eskerrik asko gaur Conexiones improbablesi elkarrizketa hauetara gonbidatzeagatik. I will also like to say thanks for the presence of Xavier Trossard, who on behalf of the Commission is accompanying us today. Likewise, if you allow me, I would like to thank all the Basque organizations that have participated in this process of reflection and that have been able to share their knowledge and vision of the future of Europe with other European organizations. Marianke Grudjans, Languages of Energy, Maria Mora, Basque Culinary Center, José Manuel López Guede, Basque University, Oscar García Marraco, OBC Kinematics, Osiama Saimu, Infight, Idoia Postigo, Bilbao Metropoli-30, María José Barriola, Técnica, and Aritz Ugarte, Etorkizuna Eraikiz. New Bauhaus shares the value of auzolana, typical of Basque people's tradition. The Basque term auzolana, or neighborhood work, means sharing, building together, and the elements that, as a neighborhood, town of society, will allow us to live better in terms of sustainability and beauty. Thus, New Bauhaus, like auzolana, take us to a common, inclusive, open understanding and allows us to continue with that constructive and generous dialogue. In this social context of beauty, culture continues to be the cornerstone that offers us tools to understand the world and to dream about how we want it to be. Culture teaches us to describe each of our identities, who we are and who we want to be. Therefore, culture through culture is the road for us to get to what we dream of. We will struggle to have a sustainable life if we lack a culture of sustainability. We will struggle to achieve an inclusive society without a culture of integration. And we will struggle to be able to evolve towards more advanced social models without the critical spirit that helps us to improve. Gropius Bauhaus, aware of this, demonstrated the influence that art and design could have on our lives, taking risks from the starting point of freedom of creation and thought. It's precisely from this freedom of communal creation where Europe approaches its transformation, from the capacity to share and think of all the people and individuals that make it up. Throughout this process, there is the goal of a common good, beauty. The beauty can only be understood from well-being, from social sustainability that allows a joint quality of life. It's precisely those needs that go beyond the material, those that can be achieved from culture and the arts, which will really make a difference in direction. Culture, from its creative foundation, will be one of the tools that technology, science, economics, or social sciences will have at their disposal in their transformational work. The Basque Country gathers money of this foundation in its RIS3 strategy, incorporating cultural and creative industries as opportunity spaces for other fundamental or driving sectors of our economy and society, such as industry, energy, or health. The strategy created spaces where cross-fertilisation takes place between the opportunity spaces and the driving sectors as a methodology for growth and compliance with sustainability and quality of life values for citizens. Thanks to this strategy, we have developed the Basque District of Culture and Creativity. The BDCC is a unifier of companies and experiences. It's a tool that will allow companies to be more innovative, but also to become catalysts for social and economic innovation. It's an opportunity for cultural and creative companies to be taken out of spaces until now defined for culture only, and to integrate them into the cross-sectional nature of social structures. Europe has an ally in the Basque Country and in the talent and innovation of Basque professionals. Thank you very much. Eskerrik asko.
Thank you. Thanks, Eskerrik asko, Bingen, indeed. And it was quite a virtual neighborhood work what we have been putting together in the last couple of weeks, because it was like in this kind of virtual situation that we have been mentioning a lot of the things that you have just mentioned. So it is about the critical spirit, of course, and we have heard also some critical voices in all the topics, in all the senses, but of course I think that there is somebody here that heard his ears whistling, and I think it is Xavier Troussard, because after Walter Gropius, I think he was the most mentioned person during our conversations, at least because the reason why we are here, it is because of the European Commission after all. So Xavier, I would like to hear it from you in this beginning of this final session. And of course, I look forward to hear your voice. And I think it was quite surprising, I have to say, for some of our guests and speakers to see how the European Commission, that sometimes is seen as an elephant for some of the speakers, to have this agile approach, this co-creation methodology applied for the new European Bauhaus. So, Xavier, if you want to join our conversation with much pleasure, we are going to listen to your voice.
Thank you, Boris. And if the connection between the Commission and the elephant is perhaps not that much an improbable connection, the one between my name and Walter Gropius is totally improbable. But what I think I wanted to first say is a big thank you, because your initiative has taken up, I would say, the core and the spirit of what we have proposed. I mean, you invested in the value of the conversation as a way to explore the initial proposal that the Commission had put on the table, which was just, I would say, a triangle of values. And you've done it also with this this way of connecting different words, different perspectives, which was also our core. Since we have started this co-design process last January, we have had many events, many inputs on our website. More than 1,700 people have contributed to this global conversation about the new European Bauhaus. When we launched prices, we got over 2,000 people that have shared examples or concepts. So it's not just numbers, it's that this call, which perhaps for the first time coming from the Commission does not start with a kind of lengthy communication or green or white or whatever color paper, but with a broad invitation to launch a conversation, has some traction and some interest. And we thank you to have really taken it at the core of your initiative and to have gone through those various conversations. And we are very anxious learning about what are the main results and what Gropius would do. So we're looking for the conclusion. When we listen, and we are already starting the analysis of what we are collecting, what we call the sense making of what we have been collecting. And we see that first, this initial triangle of beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive is the key. I mean, a lot of policies and efforts are devoted in splendid isolation to make things more sustainable, or to make things more inclusive, or to cater for cultural life and cultural development. But what is new is the invitation to take those three dimensions at the same time in transforming the places where we live and our life wherever we are. And I think there's a kind of a strong novelty here, but which comes with a big challenge, which is, of course, if we have to do this at the same time, we have to move towards even from multidisciplinarity, which is a bit a buzzword everywhere, to something which moves us beyond that. So it's transdisciplinarity or even post-disciplinarity, where the status of the knowledge that have to be exchanged, gathered, and really debated come from the citizen's view up to the scientist's view, from the artist's view to the engineer view, and with no hierarchy between knowledge, with no fixed boundaries between knowledge. And I think this kind of transdisciplinary, post-disciplinary approach is also something you have implemented in your conversation. The other dimension which is clear to us is that if we want to bring change, this is a matter of bringing communities to life. It's not a matter for experts, or it's not a matter for top-down processes. It's a matter of getting communities of like-minded people in actually supporting and connecting the thinking and the doing. And it's about probably having people working together from different parts of Europe towards changing particular places in Europe. And so for this, we need to invent perhaps a new way of working together. And I think the community of partners we have been gathering since the beginning of this adventure, we now are close to 200 partners, but we have 600 applicants. So we have a fantastic reserve of will and interest. I mean, this community has started to experiment what it brings in a community to be together with people that are totally different. Big organization being close to very small organizations, organizations from different fields. And I think we are simply at the beginning of a journey where we will discover new ways of cooperating across Europe. The other thing which is interesting is the way you connect the local to the global. People tell us, this is, you're right, this is at the level of my neighborhood or my village that the responses to the big challenges of climate change or rising inequalities make sense for me and can improve my life. But at the same time, to do this, I need to be more connected to networks, to knowledge, to recognition that may come from other kinds of levels. And so there's a strong connection to build between the change at local level and the global level. So I think we are at the beginning of this adventure. I just wanted with those few words to celebrate your own initiative, which is a kind of reflection of all those very important dimensions that come from what we've been listening to over a month. And as I said, we look forward, the design phase is ending with the end of the month of June. So we hope to see your contribution, joining the contributions we have already received, and your thinking to contribute to the design of the next steps. The next steps, in short, is that the summer will be busy because we have to prepare a commission communication for September that will be accompanied with the first package of initiatives. It will be piloting, because we'll keep this agile way of working and these strong connections with a bottom-up process. So part of it we can design, but part of it will continue to be designed in the conversations with our partners and with the willing people across Europe. So thank you very much for inviting me to share a few words with you, and I hope you'll have an interesting last conversation, but that won't be the last one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Merci beaucoup, Xavier Troussard. I just remind that you are the head of unit of the new European Bauhaus at the European Commission. So, and I know that you have to leave us in a few minutes, but I take advantage for a very quick question. As the head of unit of the new European Bauhaus at the European Commission, how would you call all this a success? If, I don't want to mean it rhetoric, because this is not the point, but at least how can you make sure at the Commission that this is not going to fall flat at some point?
Well, first, I mean, I'm the head of a unit, but this is an initiative which is sponsored and monitored very closely by the president of the Commission. So I would say I'm a small head of unit, but well connected to the top of the house. And I think for the president of the Commission, this is a very important project, because this is a project that was thought in the middle of the pandemics as a way to turn the attention towards a future together and the need to revisit the way we live together. And I think that from this perspective and from also the excellent collaboration we got with many services across the Commission that are also sharing this enthusiasm for both the new way of working, but also the call to work together, which is inherent to this triangle of value that we're going to explore. I'm quite confident that we can bring a step change. Yeah? So more will come in September, but I'm hopeful that this initiative can really help us to put our attention on things that normally falls between the cracks. And that's the ambition of the initiative. And we have the support of the president to achieve that.
And I have to underline, as you mentioned correctly, this is the case also for Conexiones Improbables. It is, let's say, a small organization compared to other partners of the new European Bauhaus. But as you may know, in the Basque Country, they are quite used to transform and to get together to transform in this neighborhood spirit, as Bingen was mentioning. So I really look forward to see you in the Basque Country and to have a talk together in presence with you and Bingen in the months to come. And of course, this is going also the case for Roberto Gomez de la Iglesia, the director of Conexiones Improbables. He's going to address a short message to us too. But in the meanwhile, I would like to say hi to all the people that are joining us in this conversation on this online event. It is the final conversation for the parallel dialogues of the new European Bauhaus by Conexiones Improbables. And of course, I see some of the participants that took part to the parallel dialogues, such as Angela Iskander, Martin, Maria, Monica, Tapani, and Idoia and Mieczysław, Ulrika. So thank you very much for being here. It's a big pleasure. So without further ado, Roberto, please take us to another kind of travel with your voice. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here with us today. Thank you, Bingen, for your support, for the support of the Basque Government in this initiative. Thank you, Xavier. It's an honor to have you with us today. You are really near of the top of the house. Thank you, Boris and Begoña. Today, we are sharing some of the main ideas that have emerged in the 8 previous conversations to answer the question, what would Gropius do a century later? 61 professionals from very diverse fields, 56 organizations from 19 countries have taken an active part in these conversations in a collaborative process characterized by generosity and commitment to the construction in Europe. from the diversity that, together with sustainability and openness, form the essential values in the day-to-day work of Conexiones Improbables in our work for a creative economy. For us, the European Bauhaus is a hope, a breath of fresh air in a dominant growth narrative that is perhaps too focused on the exponential and uncritical incorporation of technologies. It implies the incorporation of the creative dimension into the construction of a way of life. It means recovering a humanistic vision in our relationship with others and with nature, in our great science for sustainability and the good life. Although Gropius put the main focus of his work on architecture and construction, and of course on learning around these disciplines, he also spoke of finding the connection between things, which opened him up to combining diverse knowledge, diverse people with diverse visions. So, from our work of hybridizing to innovate, we saw that aspiring to be a partner of the European Bauhaus fitted with our way of seeing the world. And we are proud to have been chosen among the first 13 organizations to be recognized as official partners and to have had such good traveling partners in this adventure. Today, the search for solutions to complex problems requires us to be able to build complex and strategic thinking with a vision of long-term impact and the ability to act quickly. To do so, we need to overcome a linear and mega-specialized conception of social problems and challenges to a more multidimensional one. A new paradigm where we have to leap from multidisciplinarity to interdisciplinarity, and from this to transdisciplinarity, that a space where knowledge not only overlaps, but also crosses over, generating new knowledge and new responses. And perhaps, as Xavier has said, to post-disciplinarity. But as the great science communicator Jorge Wagensberg said, if changing the answer is evolution, changing the question is revolution. And I would like to remind you that there are no right answers to wrong questions. What is the question today? Does it respond primarily to the challenges of the city, to spatial, architectural, or constructive aspects, or are we only seeing the tip of the iceberg of how our current way of life can destroy it? I found this text I wrote just 20 years ago. The city, as a place where participation in matters of general interest take its maximum expression, is much more than a physical space. It is the result, above all, of the relationships and contacts between its citizens. It is the commitment to the diversity, mixture, encounter, social responses to everyday needs. It is the party, work, play, and education. It is the space, also mental, of culture, identity, collective imagination, and openness to the outside world. It is the framework of solidarity with its own and others. It is surprise, rest, and movement. It is the adventure of living intensely day by day. The city itself is a cultural product, probably the most important and characteristic of our society. It is not possible to address territorial issues, including those affecting its people, without understanding this cultural dimension. And transformation is not possible without cultural change. Historians say that 21% of a country's population is enough to make a revolution. That doesn't sound like much, but for changes to be lasting, much more people are needed. Of course, culture and creativity are vectors of change also in rural environments, which many are rediscovering during this pandemic. If we look at them, it becomes even clearer that the issue goes beyond architecture and construction. The demand for accessible and affordable public services, for creative and cultural experiences that reveal the social fabric and the relationship with the environment, the demographic giants, the need for economic diversification or technological access become even more evident. Territorial cohesion and balance are also an important part of inclusion. Without greater equality, it is difficult for our societies to function in terms of openness and real democracy. Culture and creativity can provide tools and solutions, but the most important thing is that they can provide new questions and a capacity for reflection, emotion, critical spirit, solidarity, and commitment to help us build a new culture of sustainability in Europe. And for this, we believe that putting arts, culture, and creativity on a stage is important because of the way in which its agents operate, researching, tackling complex problems, and acting as catalysts of hidden creative capacities. In short, because of their ability to experiment, to connect and put in relation, to foster innovation with its applied creativity that generates value. We are therefore talking about much more than beauty. Without ethics, there is no aesthetics. And this is not just a concept linked to perceptions. It is also linked to emotions, feelings, sensations, thoughts, relationships. For this reason and much more, we believe in the role of hybridisation between sectors and disciplines, with creative-based methodologies, something we have been working on for more than 15 years. From cross-fertilisation, from the joint work of different people working from different perspectives with different backgrounds, we will be able to approach the future of Europe in a different way, a sustainable, inclusive, and beautiful Europe. Thank you again for your generosity. We want from today, with all your contributions, to generate a document that we will send in a week to the European Bauhaus team. We have the vocation to enrich the shared discourse from what we are, small but committed organizations, so that, as I said in one of the last conversations, all people anywhere in the world have the right to live well. Thank you again, and congratulations on your work.
Muchas gracias, es que ricasco, Roberto. And this, of course, is just one little glimpse of what we have been discussing. And as I understand, if I understand correctly, it was almost 70 participants to this conversation that has been running for more than 18 hours in the last 2 weeks. And of course, we are going to say a word to thank all of them, because we had extremely interesting moments, emotional, political messages, beautiful backgrounds. I remember the one from Milota. I think it was the event of Michal, the background of also the historical building of Waag in Amsterdam. So we had a lot of aesthetics and beauty too during our Zoom conversation. So what happened is that we launched some questions. What will Gropius do a century later? And what is the new European Bauhaus for you? And how important is cross-fertilisation? And these questions were taken by the leaders of the themes that were assigned by Conexiones Improbables to our dear partners. And those partners shared the questions with their fellow organizations. So each day we had a very open and sometimes crisp, sometimes passionate dialogue about these topics. And I would like to start by Christian Luer and the spatial foresight, because what is happening now is that we are going to ask each one of you, dear leaders, the 3 main ideas, the 3 main key topics or words that you retained from each conversation, from your own conversation, that one that you have been running. So, hi, Christian. Hi again.
Hello.
I hope you are doing fine, Christian. So Spatial
Thanks.
Foresight is an organization that is well established because you have been also able to draft the new territorial agenda of the European Union. But this didn't prevent you from engaging to the new European Bauhaus. So your event was about future for all places and territorial cohesion. So Christian, would you like to tell us a little bit more, and what are your 3 ideas?
Yes, thanks a lot, Boris, for having us today again. Our session was a real pleasure. We had very interesting discussions. And I would start with the first slide. Yes, thanks, Begonia. We asked our panelists what radical idea about a future for all places they would put forward. And maybe a very first among this, under this heading of the future for all, we shortened it now from all places, but we said a future for all. And the first point is that being radical does not necessarily imply developing and inventing new ideas and paradigms. Sometimes one can also be radical by concentrating on what we know and what we already have. And the very core of the future for all is actually well-being. It's more than GDP. Today, often we discuss GDP, but it's much more about well-being, about quality of life and harmony. And especially in times of pandemics, it's about health as well. So being healthy and in good conditions. But then we should also acknowledge that a future for all can be different for everybody. So it is actually very subjective. It can be different and depends on peoples and places, perspectives and perceptions. So it can be about progress and transition for one person, and maybe rather about maintaining and conversation for others. And I think we need to acknowledge this diversity. So that's the first message. The second
one.
Yes, the second message would be about imagination and experimentation. So if it is so broad and so subjective, it is necessary to involve and to empower people. We need to be closer to the citizens. Only then it will be possible to discuss desired futures. And an important precondition here is the stimulation of societal imagination. Not everybody embraces change, not everybody in society. Some people show rather inertia about when it comes to change. So it's important that all of us actually leave our comfort zones, that we try new formats, that we experiment with living labs and citizen science, for example. So leave our comfort zones and turn anxiety actually into curiosity about something new, about something daring, maybe about something that can fail, about the experiment. So actually we need to embrace failure. And then as a third element, we thought, okay, what does this imply for the Bauhaus initiative? And actually, Bauhaus is not enough. Bauhaus can only be the starting point. Actually, we need to upscale Bauhaus. It needs to be much broader. We really need to negotiate a broad vision with all citizens, under which then everybody can decide how to develop and how to make it flourish for his or her own perspective and for the place where he or she is living in. And then when doing this, so we should not forget that we always discuss Europe, but Europe is not a remote island. We are embedded in a wider context, and especially when we think about the African and Eastern European neighborhood, I think that's quite important. So we need to think from our neighbor next door to neighborhoods at European level.
Yes.
And then last but not least, cohesion in our case, or future for all places, it is maybe not just a concept, but it's really a value. It's the very essence of what Europe is about. And this essence should become a reality for many people. And we need a dialogue to actually redefine it and to make really clear what it is about. It's about what does it mean with regard to peace, to democracy, and to prosperity.
Absolutely. And your session was quite interesting because you asked your participant to speak in personal terms and not to speak on behalf of organizations, which was quite interesting. What was surprising for you, Christian, of your session in one word?
In one word, citizens. actually that how much it is about people. We often think about territories in our sphere and how much it was about people. And as you said, we asked everybody to really make the mind free, think out of the box, not speak on behalf of the official institution or ministry, but really focus on personal perceptions. And that was quite, I think it was quite stimulating.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I do also remind, was it Asa Rogeli from Slovenia, I think? She was thinking about let's invert things, let's build the skyscrapers on mountains, and yeah, it was absolutely there was some sort of poetry in your session.
Yeah, she asked what does it mean if we build, or if we have a mountain in the city center and if we have a skyscraper on the top of the mountain, or mountain hut in the city center and
yes,
and
absolutely.
the skyscraper on the top of the mountain. And I think it's quite a nice experiment to think about.
Yes. And so vielen Dank, Christian. We are going to get back to you later in the conversation. So negotiation was a keyword that was running all over all the time. And it was also mentioned in the session run by PPNT in Gdynia in Poland. Dzień dobry, Paulina.
Hi, hello, yes.
Hi there. So your topic was smart industry and services. And I have to say, you put up quite a show with your participants in your session. So what are the three ideas?
Yes, thank you. So first of all, I think it was surprising to see the Christian showing himself really similar values and really similar ideas that we share. And I think that's amazing. And I think that's the new European Bauhaus, where we come up with ideas and they can be implemented in different fields. And so start with a vision was one of the most ideas, where we start dreaming of a better future. And then we try to just remove the technical obstacles until we achieve what we want. And then, of course, within the industry and services, we were talking about the prototyping phases, where there is a huge demand of testing solutions. Yes. Another idea was copy, adjust, and paste, where we use already existing examples from places, markets, and from other people, and we implement it somewhere else where we would never think about it before, so that we bring the innovation from another areas to the fields that we are working at. And the third one, which is similar to Christian as well, is include unusual suspects, because we need to include as many people, as many actors as possible in order to create new points of view, in order to create innovations. And of course, a collaborative and multidisciplinary approach is a necessity to develop better and more sustainable products and services. So I really find similarities in what my previous speaker was saying, and I really was laughing to myself that we, from such a different points of view, we came up with similar conclusions. And I think, as I said, that's the beauty of New European Bauhaus.
Yes, absolutely. And you had quite some high-profile participants from the world of design in your session, but I just want to mention very quickly a quote that maybe was a really good one for this occasion, and it's like an overarching quote, and it was said by Päivi Takokallio. And she was saying, quoting Walter Gropius and saying, if I have a talent, that would be to make relations among things and objects and so on. And there was a quite good way to sum up your session, but an overarching topic of all the sessions. So dziękuję bardzo.
And also, sorry, and also she said that Gropius would be super ready for the European Bauhaus, and I think that's a sum up for everything.
Yes. Yeah, she has the gift of synthesis.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Paulina. And now we are going to listen to the voice of Anna Gunnarsson from Borås. Good afternoon, Anna. Good afternoon, Sweden.
Good afternoon, everyone.
So, Anna, your topic was quite transversal one, because education was mentioned almost in every other session in a very intensive way. So education and human development for sustainability. And you put together a panel of quite diverse profile from different worlds and experiences. And what are your 3 ideas, Anna Gunnarsson?
Here we go. Sweden reporting. We have looked at how to make change for education and sustainability, because we feel that this is the basis of everything. As you mentioned, everybody else is talking about education and how impossible it is to do something without education. And I would like to have you have in your minds now that, and when we talk about education in this context, don't only think school, we think education on all levels, thinking this. We need a new mindset and better thinking. And by better thinking, we mean for sustainability. We cannot just pretend that sustainability is not in our lives. We have to make it a run through. We also need to stay away from dividing fields in education into boxes that do not share anything with other boxes, because we are leaving people, not only students, we are leaving people behind by doing so, because then we expect them to make connections on their own between problems. There is a huge need for good materials and activities that are interdisciplinary, because it's that way that we can actually lift education and feel that people can sort of like get these things in their hearts instead of just in their interests.
Absolutely. And what about the second idea, Anna?
The second one is about the meeting places, because we discussed a lot about why do we need to meet and how do we take care of our meeting places. We think that when we find meeting places where we can create and do new formats, do hybrids for engagement, that's when we can make real change. And we need to use something in people's hearts, like their longing and need to really meet after the pandemic and in their lives. New groups, new territories from a bottom-up perspective. And as someone else was saying, reaching more than those already familiar. We cannot only stay in our own fields. And we need the democratic participation, a mix of people from everybody, meaning that we need to use many ways to communicate and act, because that is the new black, actually.
And what is the third idea, Anna?
The third is that we need to use every possible way of reaching out and finding new perspectives. And in our group, we had a representation from art and drama and outdoors. And we discussed a lot about the intention of the place and open-ended activities does things to our bodies and minds and make change for real. That you leave such a place with something in your body that you need to change things, and that is also something you share with others. And we also need a combination of the formal and informal education models, because if we want to create lifelong learning processes and creativities, then we have to learn all lifelong, all day long, all hours. And finally, we would like to open up for possibilities for the togetherness and new ways of knowing yourselves and sustainability as one. And we think that participating in the European Bauhaus as a big thing, it's really about this, because the togetherness is what makes it happen.
Yes, absolutely. And I think Paul Simon will be able to make a song with your keywords because they are quite beautiful, I have to say. So Anna, what was a good moment for you during your session that you said, wow, this is good?
I think a good moment for me was when several participants on my follow-up questions looked like they wrinkled their foreheads, and some of them were saying, this was a tricky question, because this is tricky. We need to think, we need to act, and we need to not only say things that we have said 100 times before.
Yes, absolutely. So tack så mycket. Thank you very much.
You're
we are
welcome.
going to hear from you later. I don't know if in Sweden it is warm or cold, but we are going to check if in the Alps how is the temperature, Emanuele, in the Free University of Bolzano.
Well, actually, since I'm working at a distance, I'm not in Bolzano.
The magic of the internet. All right. So from an undisclosed location, Emanuele Boselli, the University of Bolzano has run a session about bioeconomy, food, and health, which is one of the topics that is at the very core of our human nature, in a way. So tell us a little bit more about it. What is the first idea?
The first idea we had was to exploit the technology transfer and digitalization in this case. Digitalization is in the case of food production is the use of Internet of Things and wide area networks. So, for instance, equipments which can interchange data in a very simple way. And this can be very useful for precision agriculture, to reduce food losses, to also reduce food frauds and hazards. At the same time, we have to decrease the overuse of natural resources in agriculture, like water and soil. And this is also very important for new predictive systems, for instance, weather forecasts. Then also, as a consequence, improve food affordability, lifestyle and consumers' ethical drivers, which are now not always present in all the consumers, but
yes,
could be more important.
Absolutely. And what about the second idea?
Well, the second idea, as you you said, is of course education increase. So we made a parallelism. What did Gropius had, and what are the differences actually? So probably he had less world with less education. We have now more access to education. Social groups have more access to education. And education is not only hard education, so in primary, starting from the primary schools, and but also with soft approaches. So education can also be reached in cultural festivals, in blogs, in podcasts, in other events, for instance.
Yes, absolutely. And the third one, please.
Yes, the third one is creativity, which is one of the keywords of the project. Creativity, as Gropius also thought of a creativity of design, not only of objects, but also of life experience. Mm-hmm. This can be useful to keep mental health from one side, so from the side of the citizens, reduce, for instance, this metabolic syndrome, because if we have more interests in life, we can enhance our health. Yes. And then another point is agriculture and food sites, food production sites as new tourism places, like places for tourism.
Yes, to combine all the dimensions. Yes.
Yes. Then the other point is gastronomy, not as a personal experience, but as a medium, as a tool to share intercultural food experiences, to create more resilient communities, for instance, neighborhood networks, and also to integrate different supply chains for food production.
Absolutely. And I have to say, I don't know, I should ask Anna if this account has informal education, but I have been learning so much in your session because, of course, I don't know anything about it. And some of you were really, really good in explaining. I remember Dan, I think from Romania. Yes. He was speaking about biopolymer ravioli and something like this. I should check my notes, but in any case, it was extremely interesting, and I'm much pleased that you participated together with the University of Bolzano, Bolzano, Emanuele. Thank you very much. And we are going to solve a problem now, because we have 3 ideas and 2 organizations. I'm talking about Federico Bomba of Sineglossa and Carlo Ferretti of Matera Hub. They are both from Italy, and I think they are melting with the warm weather. Hi, guys.
Hi, everyone.
So tell us your 3 ideas, please.
Yeah, we will resolve the problem, since I will just try to connect with the table we had and today, and Federico will explain the 3 ideas. And for me today, it's really important to, you know, like it was really dense, the conversation we had, and we had the possibility to shed light on the role of art and culture today, or what can be with the European Bauhaus. And so the guests we had during the table had the possibility to actually bring their experiences around a topic, which was the art as regeneration. And we decided to move into this topic, science art, art intending as an approach, and regeneration in terms of remedy as a twisted consequences of current microsystemic and microsystemic transformation. So generating new models and solutions. From there, Federico will explain which one, like the points that together we'll try to open up and emerge.
Please, Federico.
Yeah, hi everyone again. And yeah, the first one we chose is art is dynamic. So art is not a steady object, but rather a dynamic transformative concept. The time is ripe for opening a positive and concrete discussion on why we need art in our lives with practitioners and users. This means that maybe we are over the 20th century, galleries are important, museums are important, many places where art took place are important just if they can transform society somehow. So there's a big community working on the making of art as a transformative tool and not just for art's sake, as in the 20th century, many people understood art.
Absolutely.
The second point,
please,
is art is our business. So it's our business. We need to enhance the role of the profit sector in the cultural ecosystems and vice versa, the space for art to the development of big corporations' businesses. So the topic of non-profit and profit organizations, they have always been apart, and they've been apart a lot in the last century, as they were angel and evil. In this moment, in the ecosystem of the European Bauhaus, we need to heal this wound and start to combine them together again.
And then?
And the third one is we need the artists. We need the artists, we need their ideas and their visions for a post-anthropocentric society. Often between the most fragile and visionary, between the most fragile and visionary people, artists need to play an active principal role into the current digital, social, and ecological transformation. Basically, what the Anthropocenic world was led by engineers. Engineers are very important, but they cannot just be the ones who decide what to do and not to do. So it's very important for the new era, post-Anthropocenic society and the new Bauhaus, that we give space to more fragile and visionary people to endeavor a new way of understanding society.
Yes. So I have to say, if somebody has the microphone turned on, if you can mute yourself, please, while we are speaking, that would be excellent. Thank you. So thank you very much, Matera Hub and Sineglossa. I have to say, I remember vividly the beautiful pictures that Barna from Budapest was sharing, and also the people that were passing by behind Barna while he was talking on Zoom, because he was on the side of the street and people were waving as if it was live television. So it was a quite good moment. Thank you very much, Federico Bomba from Sineglossa and Carlo Ferretti from Matera Hub. And it was with much elegance and grace, but a lot of strength and content that was run at the session of VAG in the Netherlands, from VAG Society and Technology, because of the speakers, but also because of this beautiful setting of this historical building that I much appreciated. Sander van der Waal, hi, good afternoon.
Hi, Boris, good afternoon. Thank you very much.
So you had another very transversal topic, because you were meant to explore digitalization, governance, and citizenship.
Yeah,
so
quite a talk.
tell us a little bit more about your session and your 3 ideas, please.
Thank you, Boris. Yeah, so we had a very interesting discussion with lively debates, and it was really interesting because we talk about 3 different topics. And they seem to be sort of quite nicely interlinked and connected and shed light on from different perspectives. So the first idea that we synthesized from the discussion was about digitalization, where we really found that data is like the key linking pin. It wasn't an explicit topic, but it's a linking pin between the digitalization and citizenship. And the governance of that data should be designed as a mechanism to empower citizens, to make sure that citizens are in control and can safely use their own data for the common good, data empowerment.
Yes,
we called it. And I'm highlighting in my 3 ideas some of the discussions and presentations from the participants, because it really came from their contributions. So Carolina Makefic from My Data explained about this data empowerment, and Ineza Emera from Latvia, the Ministry for Environmental Protection and Regional Development, talk about this national data ecosystem, which I think was very interesting.
yes.
So that was digitalization. The second one, specifically focusing on governance, is that we should move towards a paradigm shift and think about all these different stakeholders, whereby public administrations, but also private service providers, should adopt a more humble and facilitating attitude, because it is about citizens and communities leading the way. And the institutions should help channel their energy for larger impact. The technology can play a facilitating role in that, for example, through establishing new kinds of interactions with the public. And what I wanted to highlight here was a presentation from Harit Ugarte from the Basque Country, really sort of explained how active citizen participation is important. Sort of governance is the way in which this can really be facilitated. And Iskander Smith in the session here today with us as well gave us this vision of the future where things could be perceived as citizens and as social entities with specific rights, and ensuring that we take on a new paradigm for how we design governance for that is quite crucial.
Right.
Then lastly, the topic of citizenship, we had a really interesting conversation about activism, and we want to make more room for that, because citizen activism, often operating across disciplines and making creative use of technology, can be a powerful mechanism for positive change. And institutions should give recognition and support for these initiatives. They should both encourage citizens to voice their concerns and act for change, while also taking responsibility in setting up the right support structures and trustworthy infrastructures to provide safety and security. And here we're highlighting an example from the Centrum Ciprofe from Warsaw, who really, Alexandra Janus sort of explained this idea of projects combining art, activism, and science. And there's an example from Waag in the broader region of Amsterdam, where citizens measure their own air quality and use that data about their own environment to make a positive impact on the quality of the air surrounding them. So in summary, I think it's interesting when you look at the keywords from the new European Bauhaus and the 3 keywords here. I would say we need inclusive digitalization, we need sustainable governance, and we need beautiful citizenship.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you mentioned Alexandra Janus, because that was quite a strong moment during your session. So, Sander, just a quick question: did you yourself, as you master this topic in a way, let's say, did you learn something new, something good, something different during your session, or did you make some knowledge connection that you thought, oh, this is interesting, I should explore this?
No, I think what was really interesting in our session is that there was this common thread sort of that I'm trying to summarize here in these 3 ideas about the importance of citizens and the importance of needing to bring everyone around the table. But the fact that you can get meaningful input from lots of these different perspectives and bringing them together in the conversation, as we're doing here today as well in a broader context, I think that's really powerful and inspiring. So I thought that was very interesting from the conversations we've been having.
Absolutely, Sander. Now, thank you very much for your commitment, Dankjewel. And now, thank you for waiting in line. Michal Hladky from Košice. We are going to Slovakia. So Michal, you had another topic that of course is enshrined in the new European Bauhaus. It is about the physical dimension, but even if you were talking about the sustainable and inclusive city, thanks to the selection of your speakers, you had a very wide variety of contributions that went beyond the spatial dimension. Michal,
Indeed.
please.
Thank you very much. The first idea was brought by Charles Landry, who said that we need a fresh thinking. That means that we need a new ways of thinking and the capacity which sees the essence of other disciplines. So we need to redefine creativity as well. So we were discussing that the creativity should be the part of the decision-making process in the cities. So this should be embedded to empower the participatory and cooperative environment in the city. So this links to my predecessors, the speakers and other sessions of the citizenship and the empowerment of the citizens is super important, and it should be inclusive. The second thought linked to what Sander already said, that we need a Bauhaus of data. So we need a new approach for digital revolution. So, but we also need a simplicity so that people could use functional systems, and they also could be trusted, those systems, because so much hate and so much fake news and the distrust which is within the social networks or in a digital environment, and this should be somehow overcome, and this should be something which is used by majority and is trusted.
Yes,
that was the second one. And the third was, for me, super interesting debate also at the end of the session, is that we brought this notion of home, like understanding city as it's the home beyond the house. It's not only where you go home and lock yourself, but it's also the squares, the streets, the public space, and everything which make this notion of a home where solidarity is needed. And the very interesting debate was about the rightful home or housing, and this discrepancy or the problem with the property markets and rising prices, and where the most of the people could even afford living, and this notion between the right for home and the right to own, which would lead to better life and well-being. So that's the conclusion at the end.
Absolutely, and it is a really beautiful conclusion, I have to say. Absolutely. So, Michal, your session was, I think, the most participated one in terms of speakers. Everybody wanted to be in your session, even people connecting from the airport. They were contributing, being connected from the airport of Milan at some point. So it was a really interesting one, and I have to say, Bauhaus of data is a really good copywriting. I think it goes well with Art is Our Business by Cineglossa and Matera Hub. It was another good one. So. At this point, thank you very much all for your ideas. I hope you took some notes about each other ideas. Bingen, I have a question for you, if I may. I don't know if you can open up your microphone. I take advantage that you are here with us because I wanted to ask you. Thank you, Bingen. Now that you have been watching and listening to the 3 ideas of each group, in which group would you have liked to participate? Which group, which topic you would say was the most interesting for you? Would there be a group that you say, oh, they look interesting, or it sounds good, I would have liked to be a speaker in that group?
there are a lot of interesting things in those explanations, and I see that there is a lot of work in all of them. I've not been creating with them and participating with them, so it's not easy to answer, because there are the conclusion of ideas from a lot of people, no? Perhaps for me, it's not easy to understand how to build the new house of Europe from the point of culture. When I listen those explanations, I am in charge of culture and linguistic policies, no? And sometimes I don't see very clear which is the role of culture in the new Bauhaus. I listen speaking about sustainability, and it's not easy for me to understand how to approach to this discussion and how to give to this new proposal of the European Union. Yes. I understand that it's interesting. Well, I think that I am not answering to your question. Sorry.
No, it's okay. But I understand your point. As I understand it, it means how can we get practical out of this? Okay,
I see that there is a big discussion in all Europe, no? How to build Europe, how to concern citizens to participate in this construction, no? And because we speak a lot about economics, industry, energy, but sometimes it seems that they are not terms to create interest in citizens about the new constructions, no? I think that is why the president of the European Union wants to get new tools to improve the participation in this construction of Europe, no? And I come from the activities of culture, and we see that one day is culture, another day is creativity, another day is a new Bauhaus. But I think that nobody knows how to involve culture, the world of culture, in those construction. Sometimes it seems that is the same problem that the UNESCO had or the ONU had with the new sustainability objectives, no?
Yes, the ODS.
Things like culture or linguistics are never in those proposals. Mm-hmm. So I think that in the proposals we understood and we listen, there are a lot of work, and all of them can be interesting. So yes. I don't know if I answered you.
I think
Sorry
you
if
did,
not.
and Escaricasco, Bingen, of course, for your answer and for the support of the Basque government to this initiative. And as somebody told me at some point, in the Basque country, you think in iron. They told me something like this, remembering the fact that at some point you need to get practical in the Basque country. So I think that this is a good point, and I will start our debate and conversation from this, because it is about putting it to practice. Of course, Conexiones Improbables is going to prepare a document that is going to be shared with Xavier Troussard and the European Commission. But Roberto, so let's pick up from this thought by Bingen Superior, the Ministry of Culture of the Basque Government. Roberto, how can we get practical at this point?
The answer, it's not easy, of course. I understand Bingen because the narrative about the role of culture in Europe it's in going from one area to other area. We are speaking about culture, but other days we are speaking about creative industries. Other days, then I understand Bingen. It's not clear what's the role of culture, of arts, culture, and creativity, and really in the Bauhaus basis, it's not clear as well, because you can see that they speak about design, they speak about sometimes about arts, sometimes about architecture, but the focus is mainly in the spatial aspects. We have talked a lot about it, and in my introduction I have wanted to put the emphasis in that idea. However, what we need to do, we need to pass to the action. We need to do real things to show that really, first of all, culture has value as culture, not only as tool for our goals. It's very important to get our goals with arts, culture, and creativity, of course, but perhaps we need to put our point of view in methodologies.
Yes.
How to transform not only the things we do, the ways we do the things we do.
Absolutely,
and how to build arts, culture, and creativity-based methodologies. And for example, here we have a lot of examples in Materas, in Glosa, Conexiones improbables, but in other organizations as well, because when we decided to organize this cycle of conversations with 7 different thematics, you can see that the thematics are not in the same way that other organizations have organized in the framework of European Bauhaus.
Yes, we try to break the silos from the very beginning.
Yeah, then of course we have spoken about architecture or building, but really we have spoken about other things, and the common point is culture. Not only in a general conception, not only in an anthropological conception, in a real and practical conception. We are mixing artists, mediators, people for arts, creativity, for culture, with industry, with health, with education, not only in formal education, in no formal education as well. Of course, culture is very important in informal education, right. And in all kind of sectors. Then I think that we need to change the mindset, not only, I don't know how to say it, it's an expression in Spanish that
would you like to say it in Spanish?
Si alguien no, hay una expresión que me perdonen los ciegos. No hay peor ciego que el que no quiere ver.
Yes, there is no worse blind than the one that doesn't want to see. Absolutely.
Yeah,
so Roberto, if you allow me, I would pick up from this idea. And because I think that we are already outlining some sort of methodology and some way to get practical. And I think it is really about trust, negotiation, experimentation, and so forth. But I want to hear it from Christian. We are going to have a quick round. And of course, I say hi to Joanna Miranda because I see her connected. Hi, Joanna. And if the audience or our dear guests and participants have questions, of course, you can use the chat or raise your hand if you want to join the conversation. So, Christian, it is quite tricky when it comes to territorial cohesion and the future for all places to put culture in a certain in a specific way. You see what Bingen was saying also. What should we do with culture? And we know that actually they know what they should do with culture, at least in the Basque Country, because they have an extensive history of good projects. But from your session and from your perspective, Christian, in a couple of words.
Maybe one thing that came to my mind first when you now mentioned culture and architecture is a discussion we had around intangibles. Because I think one point that is important, or was important in our session, is that we cannot simply physically build a better future or this new paradigm and a new society. It's not just about building things and about physical and infrastructures and whatever, but it's also about intangible things. So about actually investing in people and investing in communities. And that's of course closely related to education once more. And maybe another important aspect for me in this context, which I think all of us, or most of us, didn't include anybody, is the young and the youngest. So it's quite interesting that we have this group among adults, and we very often talk, and our session was called "A Future for All Places," but we didn't involve the young and the youngest people. And actually the future we are building for them. And what perspective do they have on culture? What is culture actually about? Is culture about architecture, or is culture about some TV series on Netflix, or is it about football tournament currently running in all across Europe? So what is culture about for the future? I think that's also quite an interesting perspective that should be higher on the agenda, the involvement of young people.
Absolutely, we should mix people. And apparently, as I remember, Paulina, in your session, I think it was Tapani Jokinen that I think is connected, so I hope I don't distort or change his thought, but it was also about layers. We had this discussion about how objects have different layers, for example. So can we also mix this kind of things, mix people, mix layers through culture, through transdisciplinarity? What is your take? What is the place for culture right now?
Yeah, I think what was just said to involve young people, that was also in our discussion, and we were just referring this as an unusual suspect that has to be involved in our conversations, and that referred to young people as well. The layered of things was also about how design is a multidisciplinary, it's a sport. So I'm happy that we referred to the Euro, because like design is another sport that needs a lot of people who play for the same goal, for the same objective. So I feel like in our conversation that was important as well. And in terms of culture, I feel like culture is an easy field where we can show, for example, that this European Bauhaus is a process, it's a process-based approach. So and also that was in our conversation, we were referring that we need to allow ourselves to make mistakes, because then we will learn from them, and then we will iterate, and then we will develop. So I feel like culture might be really the easiest way to make those mistakes, because this is something that, you know, you normally, this is not something that will cost us a lot of effort, or and it will definitely learn something.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Paulina. And Anna, I have to say that another transversal issue about how to get practical, and it was about time, because I think that at some point we need to be good workers, and then we need to be good citizens, and then we need to participate to the Bauhaus, and then we need to study, and then we need to go to buy groceries, but be careful not to buy the wrong ones, or the one that are polluting the planet, and so on. And then we need informal education. So is that the refreshing moment? Informal education through culture. Is culture a way to make everything more easy to take and to do when we are running from one place to another?
Yeah, definitely. So in different ways, of course, but what I think is that culture is a necessity to actually express yourself and to be part of everything you do, because without culture, things to do and act and everything, I don't think we can actually keep our societies even together. Even I, working in a science center for science and technology, if we wouldn't have cultural aspects in everything we do every day, I don't think we would even attract half as many people that we do in our activities outdoors and indoors, because these aspects, they should be more into people's lives than they are in some contexts, and in other contexts they need to be explored. Because when you get people involved in cultural activities, I think you get the real involvement. And many times, as I put in my presentation, also other parts of involvement for your person than you maybe think when you move into the activities. So I think we can get more out of everybody by using culture.
And your group was one of the stronger advocates for inclusiveness, because a big chunk of the conversation was about how to include and how to make these places interesting for people to come and join, and out of these places to come and join and to participate and to elevate the position and to feel, make everybody feel comfortable. So after all this, after these days, and do you have some recommendations? One recommendation that you would suggest for inclusiveness?
I think there is only one thing that I could make as some sort of advice, because, you know, advices are always hard. But I think it's about get to know each other and get out of your own box or whatever you would call it, but get to know people, who they are, why they are, what they want, and why they want it. Because if we don't get to know each other, we are still going to be on the square of talking about us and them. And the us and them does never work in this context.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And food is a very powerful tool to put together inclusiveness and culture. Emanuele, some of the speakers of your session at the Free University of Boz and Bolzano were talking about this intercultural dimension. So it is really something practical to answer Bingen observation, how culture can get practical to do things, Emanuele.
Yes, I think that there are 2 points. Culture can decrease the fears among social groups. Okay, so let's try to transform fears into occasions of meeting or involvement, as also Anna said. So for the policymaker, I think the most important thing is to create initiatives with which culture can get people in contact. One of them, some of them could be food interchange of food culture. For instance, neighborhood networks in which you can have food festivals where all the social groups of a neighborhood may help, may share their own food culture. The other point that raised from our group is investments and incentives. So to get this migration into a sustainable life or sustainable practices, we need incentives. Give incentives to farmers and give incentives to citizens for this new European project.
Yes, and we have
general.
Absolutely, and Anna Gunnarsson seems to agree on this take on the chat. And if you have a question, use the chat. We are going to be very happy to ask you to join the conversation or to read your question. So, Emanuele, this is a very powerful image that we need to migrate into sustainability, as if we were in another world. So we need to make a journey to sustainability. Federico Bomba and Carlo Ferretti, Sineglossa and Matera Hub. So, of course, your session was about culture. So you are the master of the keys in the sense when it comes to get practical with culture. And a big deal was about social inclusion and social sustainability, and how we transform society through arts and culture. So can you point us in the right direction? What should the perfect European Union call for projects be like? Because Xavier Troussard was telling us before that there is this calendar, and now they are preparing during the summer all the calls for proposals that the new Bauhaus is going to publish during the autumn. So out of your knowledge, your expertise, your session, and what you have been listening so far, what would be the perfect call for proposal like for you to really support the work of the new European Bauhaus? Who wants to start? Federico.
Yeah, well, I can start. I think we have to be very political, and this is what I like from the new European Bauhaus, and it also comes from the president of the European Commission. So it is policy. So to be practical in this sense, how can we make culture to have a role? I think also the words beautiful, sustainable, and together are, let's say, political things. We have to start from the beginning, and in the calls, as you were saying, for instance, as you were suggesting, Boris, we have to involve all the people who have not been involved for centuries. So women, young people, artists, so all the people that are not like the typical scheme of the Silicon Valley, let's say. We have been working, trying to copy and imitating something that we cannot copy. Because they are stronger than us, they are they have more money for doing that. They have more knowledge built on that kind of understanding the world, and that kind of understanding the world is something we understood. It's not a perfect one, and we have the chance for doing something different. So to be practical, we have to imagine every action that we do. Even the Minister of Culture, even the calls for in Europe have to be very aware that all these people must have a voice and part and a very strong part in the projects, because we have to imagine something from the beginning. And artists have a very big role in that, because they are not just storytellers. Of course, they are storytellers, they can tell the story, but they can also connect the dots in a way we're not used to do. So this is what to be practical for me should mean.
Absolutely.
To take care of all the other things that we forgot in the, and of course, animals and plants.
Yes. All right. That's a nice ending of your thought, Carlo. And your beautiful background, I have to say, looks like a comic. So, Carlo, in your experience, because in Matera Hub you have a lot of experience of participating to European Union calls, what should be different in the next future should there be something easier, something some more money? I don't know, something for an advice for our fellow guests of the European Commission.
Well, the last thing, I think it's always useful to do things better. But anyway, I think it's I found really interesting from our guest too that the environmental topic emerged with really strong power, and emerged how can really culture and arts practices can actively operate and impact even this topic. I would like to add to what Federico was saying that. And even what Anna was saying before, I mean, there is a danger that we will keep talking just for a small group of people, and we will talk just for us. It's really useful that all the organizations like start to adopt some tools that can assess what we do every day, and especially that you know, change the perspective of what we work with culture, so that the people is like at the center of our action. And this is like especially connected with the social impact evaluation tools that can give us the possibility to really, you know, change the perspective and starting from what is the needs of our communities.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Carlo. And Sander, so imagine that you are in the place of Xavier Troussard at the European Commission, and you are in the buttons room, in the how do you say, where you are on the controls, and you can devise your own call for proposal to be nice and friendly and easy or something. How would it be?
It's a very interesting question. Thank you, Boris. And I would like to build on what Federico just said about the inclusion of everyone. I think that is crucial, in particular those who are sort of underrepresented. And the observation I'd like to share with that is that culture is not something sort of separate from what we do. It is embedded in a lot of things that we do. One of the key sort of phrases that we use at Bach is technology is culture, and culture shapes our technology. And I think that is true for, you know, the topics around digitalization that we've been talking about in our parallel conversation. But it also is true for a lot of other elements and discussions that we're having, as we are seeing this in the conversation emerge today. So recognizing that, and also aligning and giving space to initiatives that already take place on the ground in our cities, in our places in Europe, and connecting that up and giving room to those initiatives and shaping that up as part of your new European Bauhaus, I think is crucial. So giving space to those initiatives, recognizing that culture is embedded within those, and making sure, yes, that young people are involved, that women are involved, and that look at what is happening, what they are already doing. The other thing, last thing I wanted to mention from our conversation,
please,
the aspect of cultural heritage, where there's a lot of sort of things that have been taking place that is our collective European heritage, which can provide sort of this space, as Alexander said it in our discussion, the R&D labs for our society. So think about everything that we've got collectively and helping that bring to the service as part of this effort as well, I think is worthwhile.
That is very nicely put, R&D for our society. Thank you, Sander. And Michal, you have in Košice a lot of experience with European calls. So what would be your dream call for proposal from the European Commission?
Well,
money now. A check.
I don't know, but something which really focuses on cross-sectorial collaboration and well-being. This would be something which we should focus much more on. And also, as it already has been mentioned, is for those underrepresented or citizens, because I understand city as it's ongoing multilateral agreement renegotiated every day. So it's like it's this culture of how to renegotiate, how you live in this complex structures. So it's a lot of let's say relationships, conflicts whatever needs to be managed. So yeah, something which can tackle this towards more, let's say, inclusive, as we were focusing on in our discussion.
Yes,
would be great.
I think you join back what Emanuele Boselli was saying from Bolzano about fear and about culture. There is also something about this when it comes to conflict. Of course, it's about meeting people, and Anna was saying this very beautifully about knowing, getting to know each other, no, in a way. So we are going to take some question or last contribution or last thought or idea from our distinguished guests and leaders, and if somebody has something to say, now is the moment. So, who wants to go?
I think that Ulrika wants to say.
Oh, yes,
something.
Please. Hi, Ulrika.
Joke.
Ulrika, would you like to say something? Hi, good afternoon.
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Nice to see you again, Ulrika.
Nice to see you, the same. I have listened, and it's been such a great talk, and I feel very inspired and hopeful listening to you all. I had not prepared to say anything just now, but what I am thinking about, and what I was thinking about, is the connection in between culture and society, and how difficult that is. And I also think about when you work to think about tomorrow's society, to think about the culture makers, but also about the society makers, and how do you create a space for those to work together with culture. That is something that I am thinking about.
And this is really important. I think you are right on the spot, Ulrika, with this thought. It is important to leave space for other people to join, because if there is no free slot at some point, there is somebody wants to join, there is no possibility to join in. And it is important, I think, also, yes, to leave like a chair, a free chair around the table, if I could speak like this, so that if somebody is passing by, he can just, or she can just sit down and join the conversation. Because if all the places, if all the seats are constantly taken, it is difficult to join the conversation. Thank you very much, Ulrika. It was a very beautiful thought. Joanna, would you like to say hi and say a word?
Yeah, it was very inspiring. I learned a lot for being part of these conversations. And I think everything is what is most important has already been shared, but what I would like to stress that it's important to, this is a difficult thing, it's a difficult challenge. So I think we'll have to go day by day, and we that are already committed would bring culture in as part of this European Bauhaus. We really have to work hard on advocating for it, because one of the things I find most challenging is that we really need to go into this kind of partnerships. We have to involve politicians, we have to involve funders, we have to involve and projects that are not immediately connect with this kind of driving force that is culture. So I would like to see that the new projects that will be brought in with the European Bauhaus and other programs from the European Union would kind of letting us find the means to really make this advocacy possible, make our voices heard and our concepts, our way of thinking, citizen in with, just building on this environment that is possible for us to really be part of these strategies of the cities, of the countries, of the regions. That what I really expect, that the right environment and right tools and right funding and right criteria for funding is there, so we can really join in and having our voices heard, you know, and be and respect, and you know,
Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely, Joanna. I'm going to take advantage of, you allow me, Mieczysław, I take advantage that you are here, and I'm going to disturb you because it is a privilege to see you here with us today, of course. And in the session about bioeconomy, food and health, you mentioned this fact of not being against nature, but being with nature, and really think what is the relationship between human and animals and human and plants. I'm not able to say it in a nice way as you did, but as the Bauhaus, it is also about this, and the pandemic showed us that we need to invert, to transform this relationship. Would you like to say one word, please? Turning on the microphone if you want to.
I could only say a simple sentence that what I learned from this discussion and from this today meeting, that the most important thing for me is how to the word use democracy combined with solidarity, combined with, of course, with ethics, and of the meaning of a culture, different meaning of the culture, because under umbrella of culture it has a different meaning, and I think that one of the possible ways is to approach inter and multidisciplinary, to think about the whole chain of different events, which will build up Bauhaus.
Yes, absolutely.
help to build up Bauhaus, and I think that it's also what I am also wondering, what will be next step of how to integrate our efforts to support in real and practical terms, to set up step by step, I would say, this Bauhaus.
Thank you very much. Dziękuję bardzo, Mieczysław. So I think that what is interesting, it is to see these relations between things. I'm not sure I see the relations between all the things that have been said, but I think that Roberto is going to work during the next days to find it and to put it in a message in a bottle and to send it to the European Commission. So as for me, I thank you very much for today. I thank you very much for the time that we spent together. It has been really passionate and interesting and stimulating, and I was very pleased to spend some time with you, even if it was on a virtual level. And now I leave the floor to Roberto and then to Begonia. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I would like to thank you sincerely for all your work, your commitment, your passion in the conversations, and today again we have received the manifestos from each of the talks. We are already preparing, already doing a report, a final document, which we will, of course, send to you, share with you before sending to the European Commission. You know that creativity-based hybridisation is one of our focuses, and we hope that creativity will play a central role in achieving the Green Deal, the framework of an European Bauhaus. I hope that many possibilities for cooperation will emerge from these discussions. We are very, very happy with you on board. I hope that in the next weeks, in the next months, we will keep in touch, and perhaps we can do fantastic and exciting projects in Europe, or perhaps in any place around the world. Thank you again. See you soon. And Begoña, if you can send any messages, thanks again.
Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, Boris. Thank you, all of you. I just wanted to thank you and just that. Thank you. It was really inspiring, all the conversation, not just today's conversation. The first one and the 7 parallel dialogues, I think it has been really, really interesting to be part of this series of talks. So thank you again. And I just want to remind you that we will have all the videos of all the recordings of the conversation on our YouTube channel and on our website. So if you want to go back to them and review everything, just go ahead. So thank you. And I hope see you soon, or see you in another meeting. Thank you very much.
I want to thank you to the Basque Government for the support to this cycle, and to the others partners, Basque partners of in the European Bauhaus, Tabakalera and Bilbao Metropoli-30. And I want to say you that we will have in the next days a new Basque partner that Emmanuel knows very well, that is the languages of energy, that have received the letter from the European Bauhaus team to be a partner. And of course we have another partners here, Navet, PP&T, Cineglosa, and you know that we are here. And if you want to be not only in touch with the European Bauhaus, but in any kind of projects, you can find us. We are happy to collaborate with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye-bye. See you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Ciao.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye, thanks.
Bye-bye.